You do not hunt submarines in the open ocean. For the first 3 years of the Second World War, that was the rule every navy accepted. Convoys could defend themselves. Escorts could react after an attack. But the submarine always chose when and where to strike. The German Kriegsmarine believed this rule was unbreakable. Their U-boats prowled the Atlantic in wolf packs, striking merchant convoys at night, surfacing among the ships, firing torpedoes at point-blank range, then slipping back into darkness. Destroyers chased ghosts. Depth charges exploded blindly. Escorts protected convoys, but they rarely killed their attackers. In 1940 and 1941, German Admiral Karl Donitz called it the happy time. Merchant ships burned by the hundreds. Britain came within weeks of starvation. Every tanker sunk meant less fuel. Every cargo ship destroyed meant fewer weapons, less food, fewer soldiers reaching Europe. The Atlantic was Germany's killing ground. And everyone believed submarines could not be hunted in the mid-ocean. But in 1943, one man and a new way of fighting shattered that rule forever. And Germany's hunters suddenly realized they were being hunted. Frederic John Walker is not the typical war hero. Born in 1896 in Plymouth, son of a Royal Navy officer, he grew up with salt water in his lungs and discipline in his bones. By the time war erupts in 1939, he is already a seasoned officer, but his career has stalled. Too outspoken, too unconventional, too willing to challenge assumptions. But Walker believes something radical. Submarines are not invincible. They are vulnerable if you hunt them aggressively instead of merely defending against them. By 1942, the Atlantic War was at crisis point. That year alone, U-boats sank over 1,600 Allied ships. Entire convoys vanish. Tankers explode. Lifeboats drift for weeks. Sailors freeze in black water. Britain imports nearly all its food. Lose the Atlantic and Britain starves. Lose Britain and the war in Europe collapses. New technology begins to emerge. Radar improves. HF/DF, Huff Duff, can locate German radio transmissions. Sonar, known as ASTIC, becomes more precise. Depth charges grow deadlier. But technology alone does not win wars. Someone has to use it differently. In early 1943, Walker received command of Escort Group B7, later the famed Second Support Group. Not convoy guards. Not passive defenders. Hunter-killers. Their mission is simple: find submarines and destroy them. And soon, Walker and his crews faced the moment that will prove whether submarines still rule the Atlantic, or whether the tide has turned. Spring 1943. The North Atlantic. Cold rain lashes the decks. Waves hammer steel hulls. Visibility comes and goes in sheets of fog and darkness. A convoy battles westward. Somewhere beneath the surface, a wolf pack waits. Then it happens. A merchant ship erupts in flame. A torpedo slams into her side. Another follows. Panic spreads through the convoy. In earlier years, escorts would stay with the convoy, chasing shadows while submarines escaped. Walker does something different. He orders his ships away from the convoy. He hunts. His group, 6 escorts including HMS Starling, races toward the attack point. Radar scans. Sonar pings pulse into the depths. Ping. Silence. Ping. Contact. Range 2,000 yards. Walker orders attack stations. Depth charge crews stand ready, hands on detonator settings. Sonar operators listen through headphones, every ping echoing through the submarine's steel hull below. The U-boat dives deeper. 1,800 yards. 1,500. Walker predicts its escape route. Orders ships to cut ahead. Traps it. The destroyer charges. Stand by. Depth charges roll off stern racks. Explosions hammer the sea. Columns of water erupt. Shockwaves slam into steel hulls below. Inside the submarine, lights shatter. Instruments fail. Men are thrown from bunks. Pipes burst. Water sprays into compartments. The U-boat dives deeper. But Walker doesn't let go. His ships circle. Sonar keeps contact. Attack after attack. Hours pass. Then debris surfaces. Oil slick spreads. But Walker refuses to celebrate. He has learned submarines fake their deaths. So he invents something new: the creeping attack. One ship maintains sonar contact, moving slowly to avoid detection. Another ship slips ahead silently, engines barely turning. The submarine hears only one pursuer, while death approaches from another direction. Then, depth charges. Perfectly placed. The sea erupts again. This time the submarine cannot escape. At 2:40, survivors burst to the surface. Men scramble from hatches into freezing darkness. Walker's crews pull them from the water. One submarine was destroyed. Then another. Then another. And the Germans begin to notice something terrifying. Their boats are not escaping anymore. May 1943 became known as Black May for the U-boat arm. In convoy battles, Owens 5 and SC-130 hunter-killer groups and escort carriers combine radar, aircraft, and aggressive tactics. U-boats attempting night surface attacks are suddenly illuminated by radar-equipped aircraft. Rockets and machine guns rake their decks. Submarines crash and dive under fire. Walker's group hunts relentlessly. His ships sank U-boats U-202, U-462, U-504, and others in coordinated attacks lasting hours or even days. Submarines cannot surface safely, cannot attack safely, cannot escape pursuit. Inside the German command, panic spreads. Lost reports pile up. In May alone, Germany lost 41 submarines, nearly a quarter of its operational fleet. Think about that. For years the Atlantic belonged to them. Now every patrol might be a death sentence. And in one engagement, Walker's ships pursue a submarine for 15 hours straight. 15 hours of sonar tracking. Explosions every few minutes. Pressure building inside steel hulls as submarines dive beyond safe limits. Gaskets fail. Batteries leak chlorine gas. Air grows poisonous. Failure feels certain. Then sonar contact vanishes. Silence. Has it escaped? Tension grips every man aboard. Minutes pass. Then oil rises. Debris floats up. And bodies follow. Another U-boat gone. And right here at the height of the turning tide. Now the story accelerates. German crews realize something horrifying. They are being tracked across entire patrol zones. Aircraft attack them in daylight. Destroyers pursue them across oceans. Submarines once hunted convoys. Now convoys bait submarines into traps. And everywhere Walker's group appears, U-boats disappear. What the German command didn't fully understand at first was that the war at sea had fundamentally changed. Hunter-killer groups now roam freely. Escort carriers extend air coverage across the Atlantic Gap. Radar sees submarines at night. Hedgehog mortars explode only on contact, preventing escape. Submarines cannot recharge batteries safely on the surface. They cannot outrun destroyers. They cannot outdive improved sonar tracking. On May 24, 1943, Admiral Donitz issues the unthinkable order: withdraw from the North Atlantic. The U-boat offensive collapses. What they once called the happy time becomes a nightmare. And this matters far beyond ships and statistics. Because secure Atlantic supply lines make possible the invasion of Italy, then Normandy, then the liberation of Western Europe. Millions of Allied soldiers, vehicles, tanks, and supplies cross an ocean now protected. The true impact of Walker and hunter-killer tactics would not be fully understood until victory in Europe became inevitable. Johnnie Walker never sees the final victory. Exhausted from relentless operations, he suffers a cerebral hemorrhage in July 1944 and dies at age 48. His men mourn him deeply. They remember the captain who celebrated victories with rum rations and gramophone music, who pushed them hard but protected their lives, who believed submarines could be defeated when others did not. More than 30,000 German submariners died during the war. 3 out of 4 who sailed never returned home. And thousands of Allied merchant sailors also lie at the bottom of the Atlantic, their names rarely remembered. Yet today cargo ships cross the ocean safely because that battle was won. And because hunters learned how to hunt the hunters. So this story matters now. Because history is not only about generals and grand strategies. It is young sailors in freezing darkness, sonar operators listening through static, captains making decisions that decide whether men live or die. If this story moved you, please hit that like button. Every click tells the algorithm this piece of history is worth remembering. We're dedicated to rescuing these forgotten stories from the archives. If you want to join us on this mission, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment with your city or state and tell us if someone in your family served. And finally, thank you for ensuring that Captain Frederic John Walker and the thousands of sailors who fought the Battle of the Atlantic do not disappear into silence. They deserve to be remembered,